Perfect. All right. So it's January 6th, the Parsons Area Merchants Association stakeholders meeting. Welcome and Happy New Year to everyone. Our guests today are from Huntington National Bank. I know we've got several people on. Curtis, this was your instigation. Would you like to do any introductions and then we'll hand it over?
Well, thanks, Kathy. I wanted to kind of bring Huntington into the loop. I've been working with them probably for the last 6 or 7 years. Reggie and I go back almost to the 90s when I first came to Columbus, which is kind of scary that Reggie's still in the same position. Well, not the same position, but with the same organization and stuff. But Huntington's CEO, Steve Steiner, is a very out-of-the-box CEO when it comes to banking, very hands-on, very engaged, trying to come up with different programs and stuff. And I know sometimes Huntington gets hammered because they're the big green machine and they don't think people listen or they don't care at Huntington. But they've come up with some very unique programs that are very useful, especially in our target area of the South Side. They have I want to say it's Live Local. Is that the correct terminology, guys? Live Local. And then they have some other programs that would help small businesses on the South Side. Also, I believe in Franklinton. I see Jason on there from Franklinton. So there's programs that they're launching. They've taken a different approach. They assign a personal banker in an office, and then that team goes out to a specialized team a lot of times, whether if it's SBA or whatever the program is. So they're very engaged when it comes to small business. So I'll turn it over to Reggie because this is kind of his forte. He's the feet on the ground face of Huntington National Bank. So I will let him go ahead and introduce his team and kind of talk about the programs that Huntington has to offer.
Well, thank you, Curtis, and thank you for aging us both with the reference to the 90s. Actually, I did start at Huntington in 92, and I've been in a couple roles since then. Brian Higgins, I don't know when we first met, but probably over at Greater Linden Development Corporation. Had to be in 98? All right, yeah. Well, and then Carla, how are you? I see a couple familiar faces there, and I go back to Parsons Avenue Merchants Association since back with Ned McNamara, and that had to be in the 80s or 90s. I used to have the little Bank Ohio down there by the carryout by South High School. I managed that. That was one of my first banking offices. So that was in the 80s. So I guess I've been around maybe too long, but we will just continue to move forward. I am going to introduce Miglena.kotevski and Jason.lipford. They are colleagues of mine that work. Jason's in retail. He can tell you a little bit more about that. Miglena is one of our directors for the Huntington Lift Local Business Program. So you did a great job of introducing it, Curtis. I'm going to give a little background of Miglena, and Jason are okay with that, with our Huntington 2020 community plan. And that's going to lead right into the Lift Local, where I'll let these two experts dig into that for you. I do apologize. I have a 9 o'clock with my boss and all of my peers, but they're aware I'm going to be late, but I'm going to jump off and catch the back end of the 9 to 11 meeting. So any questions or comments before I jump into the community plan? Okay, hearing none.
Always good to hear the the backstories
right.
For folks that have been active in the area. Thank you.
Well, Curtis is correct. Our chairman and CEO, Steve Steinauer, does think outside the box. We've created a second community plan. The first one, I think, was in 2017. We kind of finished that a little bit early. And so in the wake of COVID-19 pandemic and escalating racial tensions. We're seeking to advance social equity for our colleagues and our communities. As part of our commitment on September 1st of 2020, we announced a new $20 billion 5-year community investment plan across the Midwest. The overarching messages to that is that Huntington is a purpose-driven bank focused on making people's lives better, helping businesses thrive, and strengthening the communities we serve. That's why in the wake of the pandemic and recession, as well as critical issues related to racial and social inequity, our purpose of looking out for people is leading us to do more to support underserved people, businesses, and communities. So today, I am here to talk about the $20 billion 5-year lending, investment, and philanthropic commitment to help improve financial opportunities for consumers, businesses, and communities throughout our 7-state Midwest footprint. Our 2020 community plan builds upon the early completion of the $16.1 billion plan I referenced a couple minutes ago that started in 2017, a plan that also helped our neighborhoods improve access to capital and increase economic opportunity. So the investments are around 3 areas where we will work closely with all of our local communities, including Franklinton, Linden, Southside, throughout Columbus, meeting their unique and evolving needs. So one is access to capital, second is affordable housing and home ownership, and the third is community lending and investments. So we're here to talk about the Lift Local program. So that's really toward the access to capital, and that's where Miglena and Jason bring their expertise to the table. We can, if time allows, we can talk about the affordable housing and the community lending and investment. And we can also share this information with you as we have information that we can get out to you or share our website where you can find it. So I will turn it over, if it's okay, to Miglena and Jason to talk about, first introduce yourselves, and then let's talk about the Huntington Lift Local program. So ladies first, Miglena, I'll start with you.
Good morning, everyone. Again, I successfully unmuted myself, so that's the success of the morning. Thank you so much, Reggie, and thank you everyone for having us here presenting to you. Very nice to meet you all. My name is Miglena.kotevski. I am a program manager for the Huntington Lift Locals business, and I've been with the bank not as long as Reggie, but long enough, 15 years in February, and all spent in retail and business banking. So I'm familiar with the area where your organization is involved mostly, since I've either managed the branches or managed the branch managers or had business owners I work with all over the Columbus area, all the way to Chillicothe and Circleville and Washington Courthouse. So I've been around for a few years, but the exciting part, and I am very excited to be part of that, is our Lift Local business. I always had a passion for micro lending, and this is what that program is about. So I will tell you a few items about that, and of course, naturally, we'll let Jason introduce himself and his role into the program, and naturally, if we have the time, or I'll be available for your meeting for questions. So Reggie started as well explaining about our community plan 2020, and this loan program is part of it, with special emphasis on businesses owned by minorities, women, and veterans, as well as businesses that have a business address and located in low to moderate income communities. So since those business owners have been historically underserved by banks, we want to focus on those and create even stronger connections with our communities that we serve. Some of the main features of the program is that obviously we are looking for businesses that own at least 51% minorities, women, or veteran. I wanted to emphasize that since it comes up often as a question. It is for profit business. So unfortunately, with our program, we're not able to assist any nonprofits at this time. And since it's a program for the small business administration, the business type has to be small business administration eligible. So borrowers can have a lower SBSS score, which often we use FICO scores. And since it's a small group and of community partners, I can share we can go as low as 580, which is an area that Huntington feels very proud expanding to. Uh, the clients or the prospects, they don't have to be Huntington clients at this point just yet, have to be US citizen or legal permanent residents as is required from the Small Business Administration. We can start as low as $1,000 loan all the way to $150,000 per guarantor, so per person. I want to emphasize that in case somebody has multiple businesses. And the loan terms could be as long as 10 years in long term. Uh, Rates are very competitive, prime plus 2%. And in some circumstances, if there is a draw to term situation, it could be 6 months of interest only. We also provide for a lot of our startups a program that's free of charge. It's for Operation Hope, where they can do the entrepreneurial course. They can create a business plan and financial projections. And that way it will be easier for them to put the startup package for application. And one of the most exciting items on the program is that there is no fees of any kind for applying, neither Huntington fees, neither Small Business Administration fees. So we take care of all that. It also comes with an unlimited business checking account with no monthly service charge for 3 years and a bonus treasury service. So I said again, good news is that it's available for current Huntington clients and people that future Huntington clients. So those are the most important items when it comes to the program. Before go into any questions, I want to introduce Jason.lipford, who is one of our retail partners. And the main reason, except the fact that he's very involved in the community, I want him to be introduced, is since the way the program starts is the businesses have to go to the closest local Huntington branch where colleagues like Jason that experience in micro business lending will start the conversation and see what's the best fit for that business at this time. Is it the Live Local program? Is it another program? Since Live Local provides a great solution for working capital, debt consolidation, acquisitions, acquiring of equipment, vehicles. We don't do lines of credits in that program, and we don't do real estate. So we have a lot of options available for that, and colleagues like Jason can start that conversation. So if you don't mind me, I want to transfer that to Jason to tell us a little bit more what he does and how he can help in conjunction with our program.
Yeah. Thank you, Miglena. You did a nice job covering that so clearly here. So yeah, my name's Jason.lipford. I'm the branch manager at the Capitol Square branch right in the heart of downtown at the main office. So I've been with the bank for, it'll be 10 years in March. So have really enjoyed the opportunity to work for Huntington, and as a branch manager, we wear a lot of different hats. But one of my favorite hats that I wear is helping, small businesses. So when we heard about this program that was being introduced to help underserved communities, I raised my hand as high as I could and, reached out to Reggie and asked how I could get involved with, talking with different customers and being on calls like this to just share, our passion around it. So it's been really nice working with this core group here, sharing the good word with the Live Local program. Is I'm one of the champions. So generally, if there's a customer in the downtown area that is interested in seeking working capital, obviously we can explore Live Local if it's the right fit. But also we have a wide array of different products and opportunities to help businesses thrive. So that's me in my role in a nutshell. I'm going to turn it back to Miglena to host for questions.
Thank you, Jason.
So-
So this is the Live Local in a nutshell. I wanted to see if there's any questions, anything I can add, any clarity on.
Miglena, one of the questions, and Reggie, this will help too. And when this got announced, we didn't know where the Lift Local area, target area was. Do you guys have a map that you could send out to us so the folks on the south side and Franklinton and these areas know where it's at? And the reason why is when it was announced, I called like that day and it was so new and they were trying to fit me in that. So the other caveat too, just so everybody's clear, is I live on the south side, which is a target area, but my office is right across the park from I call it the mothership, from 17 South High Street. So my office did not qualify, so I couldn't do the Lift Local program. We're doing a different program, but I think if we know those target areas, Reggie, that will help. And then also to know, obviously who some of these officers are that, in the branches that they can reach out to, to engage and stuff. Obviously it's convenient for me to walk across the street, and talk to folks. Is there another branch like on South High or another location that someone, might have a relationship, or do they beat up on Kenny Danner, who's one of your VPs in merchant services, and Kenny's been a good asset too for the community on the south side, of engagement and everything. But if we could get that target area, that might help us reach out to some of those individual businesses for you to kind of explain to them that, this program is available from the Huntington.
So I will let Reggie talk a little bit more about the law to moderate, because there is a map, yes, there that could determine potentially is the office qualifies for it. And Curtis, you are correct. I do remember your case, by the way. I looked into that as I looked into everything connected to Live Local. Yes, it is based on the business address. So I apologize for for what, but I know we have a solution for you. Yes. So that's the one aspect that the program said. The other part of the aspect, which is a little bit more utilized based on my observations the last few months since the program started, is obviously the female, minority, and veteran-owned businesses, at least a 51% or more.
Yep.
And that's where that part falls a lot of. And I know there's some resources available. I don't know if Reggie can email those. So if I need to do that, they are easy. You can easily check based on zip code if it's LMI area or no. And that's what we go by. When it comes to the branch colleagues, I personally do have a list of retail champions that I've collected here in the Central Ohio area, Jason being one of them for most of the markets as champions. And I'll be happy to share those, since that's what we've done with a lot of the organizations we partner with. Naturally, I can guarantee you that all our branch managers are very familiar with the process and how that goes. And if a potential customer or prospect calls the local branch and schedule an appointment, since the lobbies are still closed, I believe, with the branch manager, preferably the branch managers, they'll be able to have a good conversation with them on the topic of small business lending options, including Live Local.
Yeah, and one thing I can jump into to say, Curtis, you had mentioned that you're basically my neighbor down here downtown. So if you have any particular questions or have any particular customers that are interested, I'm happy to help serve as a hub to get them to the right branch that makes sense as well. In addition to Miglena sending a list of who our champions are around the different markets. But if you're looking, because I'm speaking to you saying you wanted to know who the officers were, I think that list that Miglena is going to send is going to help too. And like I said, I'm happy to be a hub anytime you want to stop over a call and help.
Yeah. Your team is great. I had a contractor that had a license expire, and I needed to get his check cashed, and I called over, and your folks met me at the door and got the check cashed, even though the system went down. That I walked in the door and they said, "Oh my God, the computer system went down." And I was like, "Oh no."
Gotcha.
So yeah, your folks have been great,
Awesome.
over at 17. So
Great, good to hear.
So did that answer your question, Curtis? And Miglena, if you could just share everything either directly with Kathy or with Curtis, and that would include any information about Huntington Lift Local while you're sending the
Sure.
the list as well.
I'm gonna be on another call at 10:30, but after that I should be available.
Sure, I'll be happy to share all the information I have available, and if anything needs added, yes.
Okay. Any other questions for us while you have us? And in that material will be some more information about the affordable housing, home ownership, and the community lending and investments. But I won't call it traditional, but kind of some non-traditional things we're doing in those markets as well. And I don't know if Miglena said, but that 20 billion is made up of 7.6 billion in the Huntington Lift Local, 7.5 billion in affordable housing and home ownership, and then I think 4.9 in community lending and investments.
So there is a lot of money to be lent to the small business, and it is whoever qualifies based on low to moderate business address or minority, veteran, or women-owned business. It is across the entire footprint. It just needs to be within our footprint because it all starts from the local branch. We want to make sure that there is a personal connection, there is a relationship based going on, not just a loan. That's what we are focused on at Huntington. Any other questions on the program? Naturally, I'm available for subsequent questions later on. This is all I do full time, so.
Let me clarify, or have you clarify, because we've said in a low to moderate income tract, so that's census tracts that we're talking. But if they're a woman, female, minority, or veteran outside of an LMI, it would qualify, correct, Miglena?
Yes. Actually, the program, it is focused to help minorities, women, and veteran as the first point, at least 51% on business, no matter where they are located, as long as it's within the Huntington footprint and they have easy access to a Huntington branch. And then if for some reason we have a business owner that does not qualify for that, but the business is located in one of those low to moderate, since we used to have a program with Huntington that was a special lending program for low to moderate income areas for the small business, our program assimilated that program. So we continue to offer those solutions, even if the business owner does not fit into minority, women, or veteran-owned business.
Thank you.
Mhm.
Is that clear for everyone? Just want to make sure we, are telling the right message and hearing the right message. So if and when you go out and help us get the word out that, we're not sending mixed messages out there. So any questions, call me, Jason, Miglena, we'll be happy to do that. I see Sarah has written a question in the chat room.
Yes, so our question is about, it's not specifically about this program, but whether if stimulus checks can be cashed for non-customers or unbanked people this round. Do you happen to know the answer to that?
That is a Jason question.
Yeah, that's definitely in my realm. I want to give you the 100% right answer. I'll clarify that and I can follow up with you. Great question, though. Would it be helpful to put really all of our contact information in the chat in case you have questions and how I can follow up with that particular answer?
Yeah, that'd be great. And then I also, when I post to YouTube, I'll add that in the comments.
Okay.
So is anyone else more in depth with the stimulus check? I'm sure not. There are unbanked people, but I thought this round was supposed to be ACH'd into your account. Is that only if you have an account somewhere? I'm assuming.
If they've set it up, if your tax returns in 2019 went to an ACH, it'll go to an ACH this time.
Gotcha.
But if it was a paper check, it'll still come as a paper check. So hopefully folks are doing more and more ACHs in that aspect.
Right.
So
Thank you, Curtis.
I think one question I have going back to the, and I remember Curtis, you talking previously about some programs not being eligible because of felony status, or child care, child payments, right? That you're behind.
Support.
support.
Child support, yeah. Are there any
Yeah.
stipulations for criminal records or child support for this program?
Yes, I don't think I can speak to the child support situation since that's not something that's specifically mentioned in the Small Business Administration guidelines of loans we do, unless that reflects as a major collection. I don't know how that show up, but when it comes to bankruptcies and felonies, since the program is a Small Business Administration program, it does need to be eligible. And those are the two of the, how would say, offenses that we're not able to overcome at this time. And bankruptcies is 7 years, okay? And felonies, I believe it's about the same amount of time, but again, it does depend on what kind of felony it is. And I said, we look case by case. Naturally, some felonies like murder and against minors that might never qualify a person for a government-backed loan. But it depends. We investigate everything in detail just to make sure, since I've been doing small business for a very long time, we've come across some records that show felonies in a different state than Ohio, and that is not a felony. That's actually a traffic violation. So we investigate everything. But those are, yes, you're correct. I really don't know about the child support. It just depends how it shows.
And the one thing I would stress to folks is that, if they go into the branch and he starts to run it and he comes back, they're very cordial about it. They'll call and say, is your middle initial D or C? And then you tell them D and they say, oh, okay, Mr. C has a problem. So they run a LexisNexis, and it pulls a lot of data, and it's not necessarily sometimes good data or it's, off by, initials or something of that nature. So never freak out about it. But they're very cordial about, engaging and saying, hey, we have an issue, or even a different program, Kathy, just like what they did with me is, hey, this doesn't fit the mold, but here's another one. So that's one of the things that is kind of nice about this program. But I think it's probably going to be something for a lot of small businesses on Parsons Avenue. If we've got folks that want to, expand, food trucks that, have a 2, 3, 4, 5 year history, that these guys can look at some numbers for a couple of years. Those would be the ideal folks that we should be looking at and targeting and having conversations with, because they have this money. And if they have a low score, or if they've had a felony from 15 years ago, they're not penalizing those folks. That's the whole point of this program, is to lift people up and to engage these neighborhoods. So
Thank you for bringing that up, Curtis, and you're absolutely correct. And I can guarantee you as well, at least at this point, and I know our program is going to continue growing with the merger, is I'm looking at every potentially declined loan myself that had an okay score, that wasn't like a really terrible situation, okay, of the person. I look at everyone for second look. What can we do? What else could be done? How can we add any value by talking to the client or connecting them to a local organization that can help them fix any credit issues they had in the past? And our Operation Hope entrepreneur course, it is available for free for everyone that's not maybe ready to apply just yet, but wants to see, okay, let me go through that and see if starting a small business would be something I would feel comfortable doing. That's also available. so I can send that information as well. And we really want to help. We really want to help. It is still a lending program. I want to emphasize that. I know in the last year, such a year of adversity, a lot of business struggled, a lot of individuals struggle. There will maybe some perception that the program might be a grant or similar to the PPP. It is not. It's still a lending program, but it's really so much broader, and it has so much more solution, and it's such a better solution than we've ever offered in the past, and it couldn't be coming in a better time. And I said something to someone yesterday during a meeting when I was discussing the program. Live Local, it's not a bailout program. There's other options available and more PPP potentially coming and everything. It's an opportunity program. It's a program to allow the small business to take it to the next level. It's a program to allow somebody that maybe lost their job to turn a hobby into a small business and support their family. That's what Live Local is all about. It to allow a woman that always ask family member or husband to help with business. Oh, we seem to have a hard
We
rock.
have a
Yeah. That's a good start of the day. So that's what the program is all about.
Samantha Miller down at the bottom. They had a problem with an event last night where it got bombed for an hour on Zoom.
Oh, well, here we
Jeez.
go. We saw it. So that's what the Live Local is all about. And I said, again, I'll send you as much information as I have available that so you can share with other businesses. Jason is available to talk to anyone that might have any questions. Any of our Live Local champions local is available. Any one of our branch managers is available to talk about it. So we really wanna help.
Well,
Thank you.
like I always tell the Huntington staff, you guys say welcome, we say thank you, because you guys have been an impact in the community. In this program, I think that we need to get our small businesses engaged, and it would be wonderful to have 10 or 15 folks do loans on Parsons Avenue and build the avenue up with this program.
Yeah, great. And I know we have some small business owners on this call. Just feedback or questions.
I have a question. What is the definition of minority for this program? Because different minority lending programs, some are ethnic, racial, or cultural minorities. Can you speak to that?
Well, it's primarily it's based on attestation. Okay, there's no way you can check if somebody's a minority. So the person has to tell the bank, I am a minority. And I don't have the list right in front of me, but I'll be happy to dig it out and send it with the information. But that will be African Americans, that will be Asians, and that's based on they don't necessarily have to be born the Asians in Asia, but it's purely about background, I would imagine.
So it's
I'm not
ethnic, right?
necessarily expert. Sexual orientation is not part of the minority group that came up in the past, but it's based on background and purely attestation.
So ethnic and racial, not cultural.
Yes.
So Jason, I took that back to the banker that I'm working with, Huntington, and his boss, who oversees the special banking or the small business banking here in Columbus, and brought that to his attention. And I think he's running that up the flagpole, but obviously it has to be signed off on, at different levels, from the board down. So, but it is on their radar now. So.
Yeah, great question.
I have a quick question, please.
Sure.
If you currently have a line of credit with Huntington, would you still be able to apply for the program?
Absolutely. Absolutely, we'll be able to apply for the program. Yes.
Thank you.
We actually have clients right now that are applying for our program to get equipment or big truck or et cetera, but they want a line of credit on the side that we don't do lines of credit through Live Local, but they can do both. One will be a Live Local, the other one will just be line of credit. So
Okay.
we can do that. Or somebody wants to buy real estate, and that would not be live local, but they want a working capital. That will be live local. So
Yeah.
that's where I said we are not just like you fit in one mold and that's all you can do. We talk about holistic solutions now and in the future.
Thank you.
Great. I know one of our board members is part of the Affordable Housing Alliance of Central Ohio. Could you spend just a few small minutes on the affordable housing angle?
So I am a live local program manager, and unfortunately I don't have any information or knowledge or expertise on the affordable housing. That would be more like Reggie. I think he might have left, but I know he's going to share all the information. I don't know if Jason is familiar with any of that, but we said I am purely on the money side of lending to the small business. So I apologize, I don't know much about it. I did read about it. I just don't think I'm informed
So
enough to share.
Great. So one of the things that might be nice to do is to have Reggie engage someone for the affordable housing. We also, Kathy is a new commissioner on the commission, and I'm on the commission. Maybe have them come to one of the public services meetings and talk about the affordable housing portion of it.
Probably it's actually probably Tom's committee.
Or Tom's committee, yeah.
And,
But that way,
and Sarah as well, right? So Sarah and Southside
yeah,
have that as one of their pillars.
yeah. But maybe have you guys come back and do a little more deep dive on the affordable housing side of it, since that makes sense.
Can I make a comment on that?
Yeah.
So I can't speak to Huntington's, overall investment in affordable housing, but as a business owner with clients that regularly use Huntington, I can give a positive testimonial that from a lending standpoint, from a consumer real estate lending standpoint, I have many customers who have successfully used Huntington's program in their low to moderate income neighborhoods. It is extremely competitive and very difficult to be beat when it comes to the costs that they cover in those footprints. So we work, my company, we work with Huntington branches everywhere, but primarily we're working with Brian Scarpino in the Capital Square branch and Lance Strong out of the Bexley branch. Lance works very closely with the Land Trust program. So Huntington is definitely a big player when it comes to our clients, and I'm very appreciative of the programs that they offer from a residential lending standpoint.
Thank you for that feedback. That's all good to hear. Yeah, Brian is great. He represents my office here in downtown. And so, like I said, I think overall to speak to this is more Reggie's realm, but we can certainly follow up with him to schedule a follow-up to get the right people on here, because you're right, it is important.
I'll just add on to the praise. Huntington has been an amazing partner, and I'm with the Affordable Housing Alliance of Central Ohio, and Barb Benham and Steve Steinauer they were part of our formation story. They were at the table when the alliance was deemed necessary and really helped bring it into fruition. So fantastic, up one wall, down another. And I just wanted to say congratulations as well on the TCF merger. That's huge for Huntington and huge for, I think, Columbus and Central Ohio as well.
Thank you, Carly. We are very excited, and I can tell one thing, that merger means even more funds available for us to help the small business. Since it seems to be a match made in heaven with TCF, but they are focused exactly on the same thing we are focused on. So now that's going to grow. And a few of you mentioned our CEO has been focused on that. I was in business banking before I joined this program as a program manager. Just started in October last year, of course. And I work with businesses up to 20 million in revenue, which I enjoyed. for several years. But when I saw what we are doing, how we can help the real small business, I mean, as low as a loan as $1,000, the passion we have, it came across, and that's where I joined. And I'm super excited. And thank you again for the good word on the mortgage. That I'm not familiar, never been in the mortgage part of the Huntington, but I personally know several mortgage officers at Huntington that are community-oriented officers. They're not salespeople per se. They're literally there to help, utilizing some of those programs we have available. So it's been there, and even more nowadays when difficult times come.
And if I can borrow just 2 more seconds, I'll again just boost up the signal from Huntington. There's a new program coming online called the Convergence Columbus program. It was piloted for the first time ever in Memphis a few months ago. Columbus is the second city to get it. Huntington has been fantastic in bringing it to us in partnership with the Mortgage Bankers Association. It's all about increasing minority home ownership. And it's kind of on the DL right now. It's not had its formal launch, but if anybody's interested, I am completely jazzed about it, and they're looking for new project partners and stakeholders. So let me know, and I'll help kind of plug folks in.
Thank you, Carly. You're always a wealth of information. Any other questions for our guests? Otherwise, I'll shift to just a couple announcements. All righty. Thank you again, Miglena, and thank you to Jason, and thanks to Reggie, who's off the phone, but we'll send a note.
Thank you so much.
Yeah,
thank you so
thank
much
you
for the
all.
platform. I will send you some information today.
All right. Thank you.
Bye-bye.
All
Have a
right.
great day.
You too. All right. So I just wanted to make a couple announcements. Thanks to the Communications Committee and the Neighborhood Design Center, the Parsons Area Merchants website has been updated to be a more modern, kind of look. We are also well aligned now with Park, and so we have co-information shared between PAMA and Park. So we're very happy about that, and we'll be adding more information there. Just to remind folks about, it's our new year, so if you did not join at the end of last year, please think about rejoining PAMA for this current year. I want to remind folks information about the SACA benefits for our members is also available on our website, and any feedback that you might have on that website, please share that with us. So that's my first call out. My second call out, I did spend some time this past weekend getting caught up on some of the other partner organizations, some of their things that they have shared. And so I did spend some time with the AHACO dead zones, which is around digital divide, which I think is an important, kind of not just having access to internet services, but also the whole digital literacy angle. And so I do want to recommend that as something that you might want to become familiar with if you haven't yet. So Carly and her organization were the lead for that one. And then Sarah's organization had a very interesting COVID impact roundtable in December. And I also listened to that over the weekend. And there's a lot of good information that was shared by Southside Thrive Collaborative. So those are my updates, and I'm sure the rest of you also have information that you want to share. Carly included a link here in chat, and we'll make sure that that is also included in the YouTube posting. So Carly, you had 2 of those 3 items. Anything you want to add on top of that?
Not a whole lot of detail. Thank you so much for sharing that. I appreciate it. The dead zones was a crazy interesting topic to dive into, and I'm nowhere near the tech side of this, right? Like I barely know the difference between broadband and Wi-Fi. But I know that the South Side is the site of one of the city's 2 biggest pilot programs to expand broadband access. And from what I know, they're just sticking a giant antenna like on top of the Reeb Center. So, very much kind of we are at the center of this debate, and just all kinds of room to grow. Also not projecting, not sharing my own beliefs, but things are happening in Georgia as we speak. And when it comes to broadband and housing as well, it looks like a whole new day and a whole new world of opportunities opening up. So it could be a fun few years.
Thank you. Sarah, anything you want to add from Southside Thrive?
Just to echo what Carly said, the Smart Cities Wi-Fi program, they expanded it from 100 to 300 families in the Reeb-Hosack area. And they're, the last I spoke to them before the holidays, they had many openings. So if people know of households in need of better internet access or internet access in general, I put the link in the chat. And thank you for including that presentation. That was actually from the summer. We hosted a session kind of with some initial data we gathered.
Oh, I watched the one in December. That must not be the right link, but anyway.
Oh, okay. Okay. Yep. Well, we did host a session in December, and that was kind of a universal round robin of updates and information as it relates to housing, health, and workforce and employment. So thank you for sharing that. We can also put a Zoom link. And then finally, we're hosting a session if anybody is interested on childcare resources on January 20th. And I'll put an invite in the chat in case anybody is interested in joining to learn about what childcare resources are available in the South Side.
Do you see, Sarah, any issues with the childcare providers? Weren't there new federal standards that kick in this year that we were concerned about having some negative impacts on our South Side care providers?
So what I've kind of heard is that, well, one, Action for Children put out a report right around the holidays, estimating that without federal action, that 29% or so of childcare providers in Franklin County could be closing, which is obviously really detrimental to small businesses and other companies, as well as the person in general who needs that childcare. I've heard that in the South Side that people are estimating it could be even higher, up to 40+% of childcare providers, but I am still learning about that and would encourage the people we have presenting include those experts who not only operate childcare centers, but also have a really strong pulse on how things have shifted for their operations and others in of COVID, how the South Learning Center, Action for Children, and a new initiative called FACES joining. So I'm hoping to learn more, Kathy, about that issue at large in the community at that forum myself.
Great, because we do have a number of businesses that are childcare businesses on the South Side, right, that we want to support.
Absolutely.
Miss Nancy Sully, I see you joined. Anything you want to share from the city?
Kathy, not at this time. I'm assuming everybody has my email and my phone number, but I'll be happy to put it in the chat for those that don't. And if there's anything anybody needs, please reach out to me. Thank you.
All right, anyone else? I mean, it's I got a few minutes left. Any
I would like to make an announcement. Can I make an announcement? I'm Jason Hoddle, and I, like Curtis, I live in the neighborhood, but my office is not. So I own a company called Modern Ohio Realty. We are a small independent 6-person company, and we're located in Franklinton. I live in the Livingston Park neighborhood. The announcement I'm making is we were previously known as Modern Columbus Realty, and in the month of December we went through a rebrand. It better reflects the larger service area. While many of my agents live, work, play, volunteer, in the urban core of our city. We also do quite a bit of business outside of Franklin County and outside of the city of Columbus. So our new brand kind of better reflects the overall area that we serve. And speaking of the broader area, I'm also a board member for Columbus Realtors, and each month we release the local market update showing what the activity is doing. And in previous meetings, I've talked a little bit about that here. Pretty significant numbers came out of the November report, which was released at the end of December. We have, which is no surprise, but the average sale price November of 2020 versus the average sale price, and this is the entire Central Ohio region, which is an 8-county area that is wholly served by the Columbus and Central Ohio MLS, and an additional 12 or so counties that are partially covered. We over 15% increase in average sale price year over year, and the closed sales were up on nearly 13%. So the number of properties that are being sold is increased. And here's the challenge and the driver behind that. We had almost half the amount of inventory in November of 2020 that we saw in November of 19. It literally was 45% less. So with the number of inventory of available homes for sale in that entire region, there were less than 3,000 properties for sale, which means if no one listed another house based on more than 3,000 go in contract every month. So if no one listed another house for sale, we would run out of properties in less than a month. It's a pretty significant inventory shortage, and it's driving the lack of affordability. It's driving increased prices. I mean, it's a testament to our area. People want to live here. People want to move here. It's because of neighborhoods like ours and communities that are pretty strong that are helping that. But we also have, certainly an issue. And I put in the chat a link to the full report, and I'm happy to answer any questions if you have them.
I just want to say thanks for bringing
Yeah.
it up and for putting the report out there. It's a huge problem. I can't crunch the numbers in however many months, and I don't remember off the top of my head, but like a minimum wage worker would have to work something like 400 hours a week to be able to afford a home in this market. It's just, it's completely out of reach for the vast majority of our residents. So thanks.
Yeah, average sale price for the region in November was $260,000, which is pretty significant.
Hey, Carly, do you track the gap, right, between, I know Morpsey had a, number of dwelling units to create versus how many that actually are created? Do you track that?
Yeah, so I don't know. There's a lot of different ways you can measure that, but Columbus, just to keep up with the pace of growth, should be building about 14,000 housing units per year. We are building less than 8,000 now in the pandemic. So not only did we start off with this massive deficit, that we're digging ourselves deeper. A little bit of kind of a sneak peek into what's in store for 2021. One of the biggest challenges with inventory is that it is almost impossible to build a new home that is also affordable. Just to put it into the ground, to put the sticks up is going to be $220 without scratching, the surface of it. I mean, and I think this is something that the South Side has seen through the Healthy Homes work, through CD for All People. It's almost impossible to build for less than $220,000. And even that is becoming harder and harder to hit. The city of Columbus is about to update and modernize their land use code and their zoning code. And there's a lot of opportunities through that process for us to be able to bring that price point down. So I definitely sign up for our newsletter. If you haven't, hit us on Twitter. There's a whole coalition that's forming to be able to impact this. And I think the more voices we can get to the table, the better it's going to be for all of us.
Yeah, it all comes down to, living wage, jobs, but again, affordable housing, because you just can't keep up, right? So.
Yep.
All right, well, this was very helpful today. I appreciate everyone who was able to join and anyone who watches after the fact. We will have another one of these the first Wednesday in February, topic to be determined. Hit us up on the website if you want to join our mailing list or have questions. I will post all of the information that's been shared for contacts with and any other events that are coming up so that we can keep everyone apprised of what's happening on the South Side. Have a great rest of the day. Thank you.